All right, guys, good afternoon. Welcome aboard to the Aftermarket Recap. My name is Carlos Garcia, founder and CEO of G.A.R Capital. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to join me this afternoon and every afternoon, except Fridays, at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Glad to be with you. Recession, we got it in the advanced GDP number, yet stocks go higher. Why is that? Weird, huh? Well, if you've been watching the morning note and every video we've been talking about, it's really the Fed and the dollar and everything like that. So don't want to sound like a broken record, so let's just get to work and see what the market did today. Dow jumped 332 points, up 1%. NASDAQ up 1.08%, 130 points. S&P up 1.21%, 4072. S&P futures are climbing after hours, 4105. Equal weight S&P up 1.5% or so, 144.55. Small caps gained 1.37%, 185.93. Dollar index did fall. Now testing or getting close to support of that 106.11 level. That's at 106.17, down 0.26%. 10-year yields, again, we kind of talked about that inverse head and shoulders, or that head and shoulders formation on the multi-year chart. It did continue to fall today. It did bounce back slightly. We hit lows of 2.64%. We closed at 2.68. 10-year yields, TLT, 20-year bonds, TLT, up 0.80%, 117.75. High yield credit up 1%, 77.96. As we know, NASDAQ goes up, high yield credit goes up. Investment grade bonds up 0.83%, 114.34. Crude oil was flat today, 97.30, on headlines that OPEC may be drilling more and adding more supply. Gasoline futures down 0.85%, even with a weakening dollar. That could be demand, obviously, $3.12. How about gold? Up 2%, 17.73 an ounce. 19.98 for silver, up 7.45%. Thank you, Mr. Dollar. Bitcoin up 5.49%, above 24,000. NASDAQ was up. Bitcoin's going to go up too. We know that. Thank you, dollar. 17.59 for Ethereum, up 10% today. On our buy that we had put on Instagram, I told the investment club, I think, or what was our buy on Ethereum here? Let's see. We bought, if you guys remember on Instagram, we bought that dip on, was it June 18th? 18,277 on Bitcoin and Ethereum at 953.45. We're still holding that support on the log chart. And that's 81% gain on Ethereum, give or take about 30% on Bitcoin. So well done, investment club and Instagram followers. It was a nice setup for sure. What should we start with first? Let's go ahead and start with Apple. Apple is moving after hours. We do have Apple calls, so great job, team. I'm going to go and break down what happened today. Out the gate, we had a nice push on Apple, broke above that 157.14 level. Wanted to play the 160 calls for next week. We literally got pretty much in the worst time. We fell and basically kind of came close to that 50-day, 100-day cross on the hourly. I basically told the Discord members that we took the scenic route. We didn't have the best entry, obviously, just because it fell. We were expecting that break and we got it and we went to the upside. So we're in the money for next week's 160 calls. Let's see if it does hold up on Apple. Let's go and bring up the daily at 163.85. And again, basically now you're above this trend. And if you guys remember about this trend line that I built on Apple, where we've kind of just held and held and held. A couple of drops here and there, but the main drops have been COVID. That was the weak one, but we've been kind of holding steady those trend lines here. Bounce, 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 broke. See if we retest it here about 163. That is pretty good to go up there. Pretty nice. So let's see if we can hold that level up. If you guys remember, Microsoft was kind of wishy-washy after their earnings and then exploded the next day. We're exploding higher on Apple. And the reason for that is also Amazon being a tech peer, big part of Q's. They reported earnings as well. They're up nearly 12% after hours, 137.53 currently. Let's take a look at the weekly. That kind of puts us right above the 50-day moving average if that holds on Amazon. You do have a little bit of resistance at the 100-day on the weekly at 156. So that's the weekly chart. Let's take a look at the daily. 153 gets us right above the 200-day moving average. That is great. 137. I said 153. 137, excuse me. So basically all we're doing is filling this first gap here on Amazon if this holds up. If we do come back down, more than likely it'll be around 129.16, which is your 100-day. So again, don't be surprised if tomorrow we get a little bit of a sell-off, a rejection of a key resistance level. What is the key resistance level? The 100-day moving average on the daily, 41.20, is also the peak of this trend line here. Remember this megaphone formation that we have? So again, kind of following that playbook, you are going to probably hit resistance here at 41.20. We did have S&P futures. I did close out for a profit before the earnings. Well done. It did go for a stop run earlier today, which sucked. You could see that it did tap that 4,000 level, actually broke below it, but then bounced. Again, support is kind of like a mattress, right? We talked about that. And again, it just sank in and then exploded higher. So again, surprising to say the least, sure, but I didn't expect this kind of move this high so quickly. If we start breaking above 41.11, guys, on S&P futures, then we can start talking about some key levels here. Let's see if I can bring up, this is what the 3-week chart, that's fine. 41.11, if we do break that 100-day on the daily, we'll get to 41.86 as next resistance. On the weekly, that is a 23.6 Fibonacci level. We'll go and expand that on a 2-year chart just to make sure. I think I had it on a 3-year chart. There you go. Again, I put Fibonacci levels from the COVID lows to where we are. If we do break 41.86, we're at the 23.6 Fibonacci retracement, 0 being at the top. The big level here currently, if we're looking at S&P futures on the daily, again, that 100-day, if we can break above that, we have 41.86 as that fib level, big level. We start breaking above that, then we could start talking about that a bottom may have been put in. So again, it could be. The only reason I say I'm not sure yet is because we still have CPI coming. And if CPI comes in higher than expected and we have a negative GDP reading, that's not good. That means the Fed is not going to pivot. They're going to keep hiking rates and make the recession, technical recession that we're in now, more severe. So again, we need to keep an eye on inflation. If inflation comes down with commodities, then we're going to be fine. If not, then this is going to be a nasty bull trap and we'll probably reject. And I don't want you guys getting caught with that. So I wouldn't want to put too much money to work here, especially on this big rise. Looks like we're probably going to reject 41.20. We'll maybe retest here around 39.84. So again, we have a little bit of dry powder to play with here as traders. In terms of the numbers that came out, Amazon did beat on the top and bottom line. Apple did beat as well on the top and bottom line. So again, good stuff. The real big number here was Apple iPhone revenue, 40.67 billion, beating expectations to 38.85 billion. Their services revenue was missed, 19.6 billion versus 19.75 billion. And then Amazon did beat on net sales for AWS, 19.74 billion, 19.41 billion. So again, Apple beats on the top and bottom line. Well done. Roku, I saw a question on Roku. Loss was bigger than expected, 82 cents versus 69 cents, both negative readings. Revenue 764 million versus 805 estimate. That's a miss on the top and bottom line. Intel sees fiscal year adjusted revenue 65 billion to 68, saw 76 billion. The estimate is 74.76 billion. So again, their adjusted revenue for forecasting is weak, hence the stock is under pressure. In terms of Amazon, second quarter operating income did beat 3.3 billion versus 1.57 billion. Q2 operating margin 2.7 billion, 1.65 billion was the estimate, and net sales did beat $121.2 billion versus the estimate of 119.53 billion. It's a mouthful. So Intel also had a couple of comments here. Shipping is below market consumption of chips. Let's go and take a look at Intel together. After hours, you can see that they're down. Intel has been kind of dead money for a while now. As you know, they used to be the provider of chips for Macs. They are not anymore. That is all now Apple. So if we take a look at an expanded view on Intel, they do pay a dividend at least. 36.74 would put us at, well, I guess about this kind of level of support or so. You could probably get to around 33 if, again, we have to expand it out pretty wide because we're breaking down on the daily, breaking down on the hourly. I mean, just ugly numbers here. Some support at 35.81. It did bounce off that. I wouldn't want to really trade Intel anyways. So That's kind of my view on that. Again, the earnings were fine in terms of Apple and Amazon. Good to see. Consumers are spending. Brian Moynihan talked about that on the media press conference as well. Remember, Bank of America reported strong consumer. Apple's saying people are still having demand for handsets, even though Qualcomm said otherwise. Amazon sales are up for good. So again, that's going to boost the market here short term. That is nice. Roku down $62 now. I'm a shareholder of Roku. You could see here now we are trading at 63. If we bring up the daily, 59 is your next support. I have a level for 50 where I want to go ahead and add on some risk on Roku. Levels you're looking at for SPY and QQQ, that's a question from Christian. Let's take a look at it. So ES 4111, that's the resistance, that's your 100-day. So let's go ahead and bring that up on the daily together. Again, kind of the same deal. 411.28. We'll probably gap up here. We're at 409.39. Maybe hang around 410. I wouldn't want to be long on this here. I would probably want to play shorts because this is a pretty strong resistance level. If we do reject, again, we'll probably get down to around 400 and possibly around to 359.68. So keep that in your back pocket. I wouldn't want to be buying calls as we get closer to that resistance of the 100-day moving average. In terms of QQQ, let's bring up the daily as well. Pretty similar. Again, that 100-day hanging above us, 314.04. We look like we're going to tag it. We'll break above it. We're at 314.50 after hours. Let's see what happens at 6. And what do I think about Carvana and Roku? Carvana is really based on just used car demand. And we had tons of that during COVID. We are seeing car sales slow down. We had some Ford numbers. They're laying off people. Carvana may not be the best. The only thing with Carvana that I see is a probable acquisition target. That's pretty much the only thing you're looking at with Carvana. I would probably just want to trade it, not really own it for the most part, at least on the fundamental basis. In terms of Roku, again, breakdown, get me to 50. I want to go and buy more shares there. Let me go and see this conference call as well and the report and kind of get a little more color on it. I haven't really read much about it. What do you see long-term investor? What do you want to see from Apple as a company next 15 to 25 years? Do you see it as a front runner of the metaverse? I see it just the front runner of all consumer goods. Apple will probably be the only consumer technology company leading the way. It looks like they're working on an Apple car, and me being an Apple fanboy probably would want to get one. So, I mean, the new handsets are coming out. We have a super cycle in September. There's a lot of things that Apple needs to work on. I mean, I would love a new 5K Mac. They haven't made that yet. An updated iPad, they did. I would like an updated watch, which is coming in September. And I would like better battery life on their iPhones. But other than that, I think Apple has all the cash it needs for the future, possible mergers and acquisitions. Maybe they buy a Netflix in the future. Who knows? But I trust management. We know their balance sheets, how well they're doing. I think you just own it and don't even think about it, to be honest. Basically, what does Apple have to do to continue being the company that it is now? I think the number one thing they want to keep is market share with handsets. They're a cell phone company now. That's their biggest revenue. And the second thing is keep growing that services. Services give you subscription-based revenue. And that's a big deal in this market, reoccurring revenue from customers. So the service revenue, iCloud, storage, apps, Apple TV, Apple Arcade. I mean, they're just trying to get in every single facet of your technology life. I mean, again, we could speculate all day what Apple can and can't do. They have the money to do pretty much whatever they want. I don't know how much their cash hoard is now, but again, I don't think they're bound by much. I mean, Apple has held up very well, and it's a very, very beloved stock by many people who own it because it has provided consistent returns. Not the best dividends, sure, but pretty consistent, great cash flow, excellent management. Not the most innovative products, I think we can all agree, but Apple to me now is almost a staple, like kind of like a Coca-Cola, but it has growth. Kind of get the best of both worlds with Apple, and I just say, just own it. Just own it and hold it. Don't do anything else. Why is TDD dropping? There was huge volume for the 45 puts for tomorrow, the trade desk. I didn't see any news on the trade desk, but they are down about $4 after hours, bouncing a little bit. I may have to research that. Let me see here, stock. See if I can bring this up. They're down about 8% after hours. Why is the trade desk falling after hours? I'm looking at it. It's because of Roku. Roku reported worse than expected financial results. So I guess they're kind of in the same space. I don't use a trade desk or really own it or even track it. But that's what it sounds like to me, that it's Roku really having the issues. Again, Roku is slowing advertising spending, so that's putting pressure on the stock because Trade Desk provides technology platform for ad buyers. So there you go. I really didn't know much about them, to be honest. Never really traded them. But hey, there was volume on the 45 puts. That's a pretty good proxy to play Roku, right? Because the Roku IV would probably be very high. You better get it right. So that's why Trade Desk was higher. Seeing a little bit of kind of a turn here on Apple, no big deal. Kind of holding above that fib now, 162, 162.65. As long as that holds up, we should be okay. I'm also an Amazon shareholder. Nice bounce. Let's see what they say on their conference call. We got a lot more to go, guys. There's a lot of innings in this ball game, as we know. We have to wait to see what the Fed does. Let's see what the information, what the data comes in. We have a non-farm payroll report next week. Every day is a new day, but in terms of S&P futures, I want to add this. I want to just add this quickly. Let's go ahead and do this. Let's take a look at this RSI. You are now way overbought on the hourly. You're now testing overbought on the daily, and on the 4-hour chart, you are now overbought. So I wouldn't want to buy into this right now. I think 41.11 is your level. Excuse me, let me make sure if I have this right. 4120. 4120 is your 100-day moving average on the daily. Again, that should coincide to around a 70 RSI, possibly. That's where I would want to short. So I would not want to buy into this if you're a trader, guys. I would want to go ahead and see about buying some puts, especially now that they're cheap, because everyone is a bull all of a sudden. Beautiful stuff. Have a great rest of your afternoon. We'll catch you guys tomorrow morning for the morning note and more earnings. I think Energy does report tomorrow, so we'll keep an eye on that. And thank you for your time, George, as always. Appreciate you. Thanks for following. Make sure to hit that like button if you like these videos. We will see you tomorrow. Cheers.